Imagine spending over $1 million on a heavy-duty RV, and every single time you want to walk from the driver's seat back to the living room, you have to crawl through a hole in the wall. Like a dog. That's not an exaggeration. That's been standard practice in Chinese heavy RVs for years. Today, I'm looking at the first one I've found that actually kills that problem for good. And it does it using a chassis borrowed from a military-grade off-roader. If you've caught a few of my tours before, you know I get more excited about weird engineering fixes than shiny paint jobs. And this might be the smartest fix I've come across all year. And if this is your first time here, welcome. I climb into RVs most people will never get near, and I tell you straight what's actually worth the money. Let's get into this one. Here's the issue with almost every heavy RV built the traditional way. The cab, where the driver sits, is a separate floating unit from the living box in the back. To get from one to the other without going outside, most of these vehicles cut a small crawl-through opening between them. Reviewers call it, bluntly, the dog hole. Picture spending real money on a family RV, and every time you want to move from driving to living, you're hunching down and climbing through a hatch. This RV, built on a Dongfeng Mengshi chassis, the same off-road lineage that traces back to military-spec vehicles, throws that design out entirely. The chassis and the living structure are welded as one continuous frame. No floating cab, no separate box, no crawl hole. You can genuinely walk from the driver's seat straight back into the living space, standing the whole way. That's the headline feature, and it's a real first for this category. Let's talk numbers. This thing sits just under 6 meters long. That's a deliberate choice, because staying under that line keeps it in the blue plate vehicle class in China, meaning you can legally drive it on a standard car license instead of needing a heavy vehicle license. Height runs around 3.3 to 3.5 meters, and loaded weight lands close to 12 tons. That's a genuinely big vehicle wearing a small vehicle license plate. The body is no joke either. We're talking roughly 25mm steel structural panels, sandwich construction walls, reinforced glass, a protective front grille. This thing is styled like it rolled straight out of a post-apocalyptic action film, and the hardware backs that look up. 4-wheel drive, 3 differential locks, high and low-range gearing, and, this is the standout feature, a self-adjusting central tire inflation system. That means the vehicle can raise or lower tire pressure on the fly depending on terrain, firmer for highway, softer for sand, or loose ground. That's genuinely advanced overlanding hardware, not something you'd expect on a family camper. Add a front winch rated around 12,000 pounds, a rear winch closer to 20,000, a rooftop tent as standard equipment, and an electrically operated motorcycle mount on the rear bumper. And you start to understand. This isn't styled as an off-roader for looks, it's actually built as one. One more detail worth knowing if you're shopping this platform. The newer generation redesigned the rear end completely. The earlier version had a bolt-on external storage box with the spare tire mounted up on the roof. The newer version integrates a hydraulic lift system into the tail that houses the spare tire and storage together, which frees up the entire roof for other uses. Small change, meaningfully better execution. Step inside through a heavily reinforced door. Remember, this whole structure is steel, and up a reinforced entry step. The cab feels less like a truck and more like a passenger car. Lower seating position than you'd expect. Leather-trimmed seats, a genuinely premium feel, though the footwell has a raised steel ledge that makes entry a little awkward if you're not used to it. Walk straight back, no crawling required. And you're in a fully open living space. Because the whole body is a rectangular unibody shape, there's almost no wasted transition area between rooms. One trade-off of staying under that 6-meter limit. Seating faces forward only, not face-to-face like some larger campers. Reviewers who've tested it say that's not actually a downside. You get a clear view forward while the vehicle's moving, which some people genuinely prefer. The kitchen runs a full induction cooktop, range hood, stainless sink, single-door fridge, microwave, and a generous stretch of counter space, plus an outdoor venting window, so cooking smoke and steam don't linger inside. The sleeping area is a double bed at the rear with a smaller fold-away bunk above for a child. Testers who are around 1.7 meters tall report the lower bed fits comfortably, though headroom directly above the bed area is tight. It's rated for 4 to 5 people on paper, but realistically, this is a vehicle built for 2 adults traveling comfortably, maybe 3 at a squeeze. The bathroom holds a sink, a compact washing machine, an electric toilet, and enough room to turn around for a shower, though there's no separate wet and dry zone, so expect the whole room to get damp when you shower. Storage runs the length of the cabin with wood-toned cabinetry, a table that folds down to extend the sleeping area, and a lift-up TV tucked out of sight when not in use. Here's where this RV stops looking like a camper and starts looking like an off-grid cabin. Freshwater capacity sits at 370 liters. For comparison, a typical camper van carries somewhere between 80 and 150 liters. That's genuinely serious autonomy. 2 people could realistically go several days without needing a refill. On power, the manufacturer's standard configuration lists a 23 kilowatt-hour battery with a 1,500-watt rooftop solar array, though the specific demo unit one reviewer drove measured closer to 20 kilowatt-hours with an 800-watt array. Likely a configuration or trim difference. Either way, put that next to a typical RV house battery, which usually runs 1 to 2.5 kilowatt-hours, and you can see the gap. This platform also supports external power output up to roughly 6,000 watts, split across dual inverters, enough to genuinely run household appliances off the vehicle itself. Add dual 4,000-watt heaters and an instant hot water system, and cold weather camping stops being a compromise. This platform comes in 2 generations, and the difference actually matters if you're shopping it. The earlier version, the A20, runs a 4.5-liter Cummins diesel, making around 220 horsepower, paired with a rigid one-piece front and rear axle. Durable, simple, proven. The newer A21 steps up to a 6.7-liter Cummins, making roughly 320 horsepower, reportedly with a meaningful torque increase over the A20 as well. The bigger change, though, is the axle. The A21 moves away from the rigid setup to a different, more independent style suspension design. Testers who've driven both report the ride comfort difference is noticeable. The rigid A20 axle transmits more bump and bounce into the cabin at speed, while the A21 setup smooths that out considerably. On top of that, the manufacturer has reportedly told reviewers a further suspension upgrade is planned for future production runs, so this is clearly an area they know needs work and are actively improving. As for price, treat this as a ballpark, not a fixed number, since sources conflict. Manufacturer quoted pricing puts the A20 around 1.58 million yuan and the A21 around 1.68 million, though real-world quotes on demo units have come in lower, closer to 1.4 million, depending on configuration. If you're seriously shopping this, confirm current pricing directly with the manufacturer rather than relying on any number in this video. Now let's talk about what doesn't get mentioned in the sales pitch. Height and weight are real considerations here. At roughly 3.3 to 3.5 meters tall and close to 12 tons loaded, you're ruling out underground parking, low bridges, and anything requiring quick, casual maneuvering. There's a gearbox quirk worth knowing before you ever sit in the driver's seat. There's no park position. Pushing the shifter all the way to the top engages reverse, not parked. The vehicle relies on an electronic parking brake instead when it's in neutral. That's a genuine read the manual first situation. City driving is the other honest weak point. Testers who've taken this into dense urban traffic describe real blind spots and describe the experience as stressful. This is a vehicle built for highways and open terrain, not tight downtown streets. And on fuel, expect somewhere around 21 to 24 liters per 100 kilometers on the diesel versions. This is not a cheap vehicle to run, on top of not being a cheap vehicle to buy. So, does it actually solve the problem I opened with? Genuinely, yes. This is the first heavy RV I've walked through where the cab and the living space feel like one connected home instead of two vehicles bolted together with a hatch between them. That alone makes it worth knowing about, even before you get to the off-road hardware or the water and power capacity that puts most competitors to shame. This isn't a vehicle for a solo minimalist who wants to travel light and unnoticed. It's for a family that wants serious 4x4 capability without sacrificing real living space, and is prepared to pay a premium in both purchase price and fuel for that combination. Next week, I'm climbing into a build that takes the completely opposite approach. Smaller, lighter, and somehow just as capable off the beaten path. You'll want to see how they pulled that off. If you want to see more of these builds broken down honestly, what's real, what's marketing, and what's actually worth your money, subscribe and drop your price guess for this one in the comments before I told you the real number. I'll see you in the next one.